This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com. The only place to be in your pop culture world.
Come on, come on. We call it the place to be. The place to be, yes, it's the place to be. Then I shall be there.
It is contagious. It is the place to be, and we are live each and every Monday.
Do you actually need a camera for tout, or is it like part of the program?
Tomorrow comes the place to be.
Yeah, I like Big Dick myself.
I was just the man you see and the place to be.
Do you listen at all when I speak on the show?
I'm not the one who thrives on whining about carriages that are 3 inches from my fucking car.
So if it's too much for you and your big cock of the walk Knights of Columbus fat cat,
when does it end,
to bring
JR?
the carriage back to the fucking thing, then what do you want? What do you want?
When does it end?
You're making the poor guy making minimum wage while you're sitting there with our Mento going through the coffer. Party people in the place to be.
5 years. 5 years! We've been doing podcasts. And we have this. This is trash.
It's not Austin in LA. It's not Cabana in Chicago. It's not Conrad down in Alabama. Place to Be Nation presents Scott Criscolo and JT Rosero. This is the Place to Be Podcast.
To do worse than Josh Richer.
Place to Be Nation, welcome to the great episode of the one and only Place to Be Podcast. I'm your co-host, Just Rosero, coming to you live here this Monday evening inside the PTB studios. And joining me, as always, is my PIC, Mr. Scott Criscolo. Scott, how are you?
Good evening, JR. Good evening, Place to Be Nation. Welcome to episode 537 of the longest-running episodic motherfucking gold standard. And speaking of Dusty, interesting match result involving the Dream himself, which we'll get into in a moment. But JR, it's been a little bit. I feel like these 2 weeks have been like 2 years.
2 years.
But,
yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy post-Thanksgiving to you.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
You were on a unusual, not unusual, I shouldn't say unusual, a unique vacation for you. You had the whole fucking clan. It was like those sitcoms that have like multi-parts where the whole family goes, off set to like some destination. With all your shirt, the matching T-shirts and everything, and that was kind of neat. I didn't realize it was everybody. I thought it was like you and your sister. I didn't realize it was a whole clan. But did you have fun? Looked like you did.
Yeah.
Well, except for some of the pictures where your face was a little green.
Well, first I want to clarify what clan was with me. Not the clan. It was my family.
Wow.
we should clarify
our
that.
listeners aren't that dumb.
I don't know. I've been accused of being racist because I ranked Mark Henry in the 50s or something on Twitter. But
well, that's just ignorance. But.
So our whole my whole side of the family went down to Disney for the week. I couldn't have done it without Chad Campbell. He was like in the control center, working via a remote laptop with me the whole time, booking fast passes, narrating where to go. So shout out to him. And no, it was a good week. It went about as well as you would expect to have, 4 70-year-olds or whatever, 65 plus, and 4 children under 7, doing 4 parks in 7 days. So it went about his best case scenario. Obviously, there was some bullshit involved. I was exhausted when I got home, but it was good. It was worth it. Everything went well. It was weird not having Thanksgiving at home because that was always kind of the holiday my parents did, and we've kind of done it here. Of course, we've had dat party every year. Really, kind of some kind of dad adventure since 2003. This is the first year. Didn't really have something going on, so that was kind of weird. Not watching football on Thursday was odd. I was kind of monitoring on my phone for fantasy, but other than that was kind of weird. So it was definitely very different Thanksgiving week for me. And I like to think a little bit of the dat tradition lived on because there was only one night where we escaped with my wife and my sister and her husband, and it was Friday night. We went out for dinner and had a couple drinks and got dessert. So I feel like at least it was like a little bit of the tradition of getting away from the kids and getting out and partying just like a touch. So the dat tradition lived on one way or another. But no, it was a good week. I hope to have shuck out the jitters in Extreme 3-Way Dance that I did last week because that was kind of a mess after my 2-week hike. It's amazing how off you feel after when you do this so regularly, and then even just taking 2 weeks off. I felt like all lost doing that episode, but I feel like I get the rust off, so I'm hoping tonight we'll be ready to roll.
Oh, absolutely. It was weird not being because usually since my first year that year was 2004, and I missed 2 in the first 17 years. 1 year was because my dad, and the other year I had a high school reunion. So it was weird not going and not having something in its place. Like I just hung out. It was very, very weird. It was very strange myself, but it was relaxing. Weather was a little shaky. So driving home if we were together, driving home on Sunday in New England, as our guest can attest to, was not pleasant. So,
I wasn't sure if we were going to make it home. I mean, we literally were able to fly in like the one open window on Monday afternoon because it was shitty Monday morning and Sunday night. And then it was like real bad Monday night into Tuesday.
Right.
And they ended up canceling school and everything. So if our flight was like any later or any earlier, we probably would have been maybe stuck there. But we happened to have that one open window that our flight was in. So we made it home.
Good.
But all right. So joining us tonight, our third man in the booth, as usual, for any NBC wrestling is Mr. Peter Winson, Mr. Allentown himself. How are you?
I'm doing great. And are we burying the lead? Happy 46th birthday, Mr. Rosero?
Yeah, not quite 46, but thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Sorry, I'll check my math on that.
Yeah, I'm not quite up there with you guys, but sadly getting close. But I feel young. I feel young.
And I do know about that horrible weather because when I drove home on Sunday in the middle of the storm, I tried to go up my driveway, and the little Hyundai Sonata that couldn't and got stuck halfway. So I just said, you know what? I'll just leave it there and I'll get it in the morning. And then my snowblower broke. So it was just a banner snowstorm. But now with it raining out and it being 53 degrees, it's going to be gone in like 2 days.
Oh yeah, it's already
all of it,
pretty much
all melted. Yeah. I did feel old today because I had to do a quick trip to New Hampshire for work up and down this morning and back this afternoon. And I did a little Bro Sis podcast binging on my way to catch up on my office recaps. And they make me feel old. Like the brother who stepped in for Mary in the one episode is in college now. And just hearing them like talk about things as like the late 2000s, like as being when they were young and kid, like that was like a culture shock to me. Listen to that fucking podcast. It's a great podcast. It's one of my favorites that we offer here at Place B Nation. But I really feel as old as I do when I listen to that show. But I feel young tonight.
Great show, by the way.
Back at it. All right, Scott, where are we at?
You're going to get old eventually. Get over it.
Yeah,
well, we
older,
are.
Though. That's the key, you know?
Yeah, but I'm okay with it. You're not. So that's
I'm okay with it.
And I.
I'll just look at you and be like, okay, well, I'm not there yet.
Well, that's you. Age shaming. It's okay. You can accept that in your life. That's fine.
Anyway. Facts.
Well, what, the fact that I look shitty at 46?
Oh, I didn't say you look shitty. Did I say you look shitty? I just say I will not be as old as you are.
No, but I mean, if I look just as good as 46 as you do at 38, then
come on, that's
I'm
a joke.
I'm good.
All right.
Well, that's
you look good for 46. You look good for 46.
Well, I appreciate that, and we all look good for whatever.
Peter looks like shit, but
Peter. It's all that traveling at North Station.
Well,
how many donuts to eat at North Station?
Actually, it's funny you say that because I did have a donut because I had 40 minutes waiting for my train. But yeah, I don't want to sidetrack anything here. But I had a very severe acid reflux episode on Saturday, and I can say that it was worst episode ever. And I'm sure I don't know if one of you guys has had to deal with acid reflux. I swear Rosero has said something about that in the past.
Have real bad acid reflux.
Oh my god, it was the worst.
No, are you medicated though, or are you like just self-medicating?
I just put myself on Nexium.
All right, you should go. Look, I'm only telling you this because we're maybe friends, but honestly, this is like real. I think I talked about this a little bit. Man, no holds barred. Man, that's where you heard it. But I had it. I've had it since high school, and I finally got serious about it. Like I want to say 5 years ago. What SummerSlam was the first
5 years
one?
ago.
Yeah, 15, right, Scott? I think it was that year.
15. 15.
And I finally went, Peter, and I had like some real bad damage. And if I didn't go and get like an endoscopy and get on like better meds, I would be probably in much worse shape right now. So there's a lot you can do to combat it that I've done, and I've held steady. Like I've had regular routine checkups, and I'm doing well. So if I were you, I would just go maybe get like a test done or get on something more serious if it's that bad, if it's that serious.
Yeah, it's been a little bit more frequent. It's always after eating pizza, so I think I'm going to have to like cut it. Yeah,
tomato sauce is very acidic.
Well, also it's Italian sausage and green peppers. I don't know if that had anything to do with it.
All three of those things have some type of.
Well, it might be a little bit of the grease, but it's likely the pizza. The tomato sauce is like anything acidic is like awful for you, and also you should not eat about 60 to 90 minutes before you lay down at night.
Coming soon to the place to be medical feed, JT Rosero.
I can tell you. Look, there's two
pills.
There's two medical things I can tell you all about. Anything you need to know. One is acid reflux, and two is alopecia. I can handle any conversation on those two topics. I'm also dealing with plantar fasciitis right now, which sucks. By the way, that's when I'm starting to feel old. Is that fucking shit? So before we went to Disney, I went for a follow up because he diagnosed it. I've gone a few times now. And I got like the inserts in my shoes, and I've been feeling better since I've been doing the stuff he's telling me to do. But he gave me a cortisone shot in my heel to kind of get me through Disney. And he's like, "Do you want the sheet?" You know, I guess some people like don't want to see the large needle getting jammed in their foot, so like they'll have like the little sheet blocking them. And I told him, I said, "No, I've had a vasectomy. I can deal with anything." And he like started dying laughing. But the thing is, he's deaf, so I can kind of half make out what he's saying half the time. He's a really nice guy. And it was like the best laugh ever. It was this hearty belly laugh from this guy. So I feel like I really landed a good joke on that day. But the needle didn't hurt too bad. I expected worse.
And with that in mind,
was it kind of like when Taker was jabbing the needle in his fucking hand before
kind of
No Mercy 02?
I mean, I don't recommend it, but I've also had steroid shot in my head for the alopecia, and that was much worse. So,
oof. Oh, that's rough. Anyway, speaking of needle jabbing, let's take a look at 1990.
You guys brought it up.
WWF. plenty of needles going around here.
That's the one thing.
The physician in attendance at ringside, Dr. George Zaharian.
Yeah, plenty of needles. Anyway, and I think all four guys that we see tonight probably had their share of them. Anyway, tonight, gentlemen, of course, Mr. Winson's here, so obviously the words main event are somewhere in the title tonight. But we are not on Saturday. For the third consecutive year in February, we are on Friday night. It is, yes, the main event, number 3. The date, February 23rd, 1990, from one of Vince's favorite haunts in this fine land we call America, the Joe Louis Arena in Detroit, home of a pay-per-view the following year. Of course, no house shows because everybody's in the building because it's live. But we do have some dark matches. And one of the dark matches, I don't know, JR, if we talked about this in the past, but when I read this today, when I was putting it in my document, I'm like, this really happened? Holy shit. All right, so here's the dark matches. Because obviously people in Joe Louis aren't going to pay for 2 matches. So here are the other 7 matches that were on the card in the dark match. Earthquake, not the first time, last time we'll see him tonight, pinned Ronnie Garvin. Ready for this one? After Sapphire interfered,
yeah, baby,
Dusty Rhodes pinned Mr. Perfect.
Wow. That's a push right there for Dust. Now, I mean, they're getting close to the end for Perfect anyway, as far as this Perfect record's going. And even before the main ending, which is coming soon for everybody, there's another one locally. So I'm wondering how many times actually this started to trickle in here. But I'm surprised that Dusty didn't just do like a count out win or something.
Yeah. What do you think of that, Peter?
I never knew about this. This is literally the first I'm hearing about that, and I'm like, freaking Sapphire caused Mr. Perfect to lose. I mean,
she's sweet for a reason, baby.
Oh God.
It looks like they were tied together a little bit around the circuit since January, a couple times anyway. Him and Dusty, him and Snuka a lot in January, Rooster. So Hogan beat him in Indiana in January. He doesn't say how. He pinned him on January 14th. Hogan did in Rochester. So it looks like as early as mid-January, he was already starting to get pinned around the circuit. So, which is interesting because they make it such a selling point in Mania. You know, that, like, why didn't they just wait? They couldn't hold off 3 more months.
You're assuming that, and you're assuming that most people that watched on pay-per-view were probably like, yeah, but I just saw this happen like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, even if it was like 6 times, like, it's not a ton, but some people are seeing it, and I'm sure questioning a little bit, like, hey, he already lost. What do you mean his perfect record is done? But anyway, I don't think they gave a shit that much at this point.
No, I don't think they did either.
It's so insulting to everybody's intelligence.
Well, in Providence, in February,
not that I was reading house show results when I was 10, but
right.
There was other stuff going on as well. Some of it even on this program, which we'll get to.
I was watching them because there were results in the PWI in 1990, so I remember the result.
Perfect did beat Hogan by count out in Providence on February 2nd, so anyone there did not get to see him get pinned.
So perfect, actually.
I just remember reading those PWI results and be like, why does this? I don't remember who it was. Like, why does Red Rooster always lose via roll up? Like, why does he figure it out one of these days? And maybe don't turn your back so easily. God,
he didn't want to squish the fucking the mohawk.
Yeah,
he was very sad having his head pushed back so the mullet gets crushed or the mohawk gets crushed.
I think Duggan might have even pinned him in February here, by the way. Yeah, he did. February 16th in Wheeling, Duggan pinned him.
Oh, shit.
They wasted no time just having him get pinned. Like right as soon as they did it, the seal was broken, and that was it. Yep. I just don't get why they didn't wait for a big time to do it. It's odd.
I don't know. Like, you wouldn't see that now in modern day. Not that people in house shows care at this point, but
no, I mean, word would spread immediately. I mean, you can do it now.
Yeah, because everybody would know. Because people care about that shit now. Sorry. All right, rounding it out, Ted DiBiase defeated Jake Roberts via countout. The Colossal Connection defeated Demolition in a World Tag Team Championship match. Bad News Brown defeated Tito Santana, who was subbing for Jimmy Snuka. So do we decipher that he was hurt?
Yeah,
because he was getting the shit subbed out of him like crazy. So.
Yeah, no, I think we confirmed that.
We did?
Herb. Didn't Herb say he was hurt and he was going to miss the show? Remember?
Yeah, Herb did say he was hurt. That's right. Okay. Rick Martel.
Who would have known Herb Kunze would be helping us out with medical reports?
Yeah, no, really. Fuck you, Meltzer. And the last match before we went on the air, Roddy Piper fought Rick Rude to a double disqualification in a lumberjack match. So those are your dark matches leading up to when the cameras went live. But before we do that, speaking of Herb, JR, any tidbits?
We do have one installment, and this was posted very early the morning of this show at February 23rd at 1:03 in the morning. Herb Kunze posted this to Rec Sport Pro Wrestling News Group. Tomorrow night's the night. Obviously tonight, but I'm sure as he was typing this, it was still the night before. Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage will meet on NBC's prime time. Now, he puts 10 p.m. here, but I'm assuming based on where he was, maybe he was like mountain time or something, because it was 8. This shit was still in prime time, right? Or did this air late night?
Yeah, it was 8 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay. No, it was 8 o'clock. Yeah, Friday night.
Live at 8.
Okay, so yeah,
it was live at 8.
He must be mountain time, I think, wherever he is. He's at Waterloo University. Do we know what that is?
What, Iowa?
No, he's in Canada.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'll look it up. Go ahead, I'll look it up. Yeah.
It looks like it's in Ontario. So I guess I don't know what time zone that is. Look that up. Anyway.
Waterloo University.
Yeah.
Waterloo University is indeed in Waterloo, Ontario.
Okay.
The mascot is King Warrior.
Of course. So it must be pretty far west in Ontario, because I was in Ontario this summer on like the very edge, and we were still like in the same time zone. It doesn't look like it's far enough over to be mountain time. Anyway, I'm putting way too much thought into this. All right, here we go. I'll let Peter expound on this further on the next Greetings from Allentown. Peter, can you figure out the Waterloo University time zone situation for me?
I thought the entirety of Ontario was in the Eastern time zone.
No, I did too. So are we sure this is at 8 o'clock? This show?
I am pretty sure that it was, because I don't think I remember watching it and as it happened, and it definitely was not at 10.
All right. Because now I remember watching it too, actually, and now I'm thinking like I feel like maybe I stayed up late. You don't think you did?
Yeah. Well, don't forget, Detroit's in the Eastern time zone as well. So,
right. But Ontario's pretty big.
Yeah.
Let's see if it says what time this fucking thing aired here on 10 p.m. It was
wow,
later.
Really?
Yeah. Main Event 3 took place and aired live on February 23rd at 10 p.m. Eastern from Joe Louis Arena in Detroit. I vaguely remember, because this was one of the first things I watched live as a fan. And I remember, I have like vague memory of like having to stay up to watch it. It would have been 9.
Yeah. No, maybe it was later then. Okay.
No,
Well,
Wiki says
I guess
it was a 10.
they just didn't want to go head to head with Perfect Strangers, just the 10 of us, whatever
Was that the lineup
quality
at that
programming was on ABC that night.
All right, now we look that up. Hang on. We got to find out what the fuck the lineup was in 1990. All right, here we go.
Belvedere, actually, I think they yanked Belvedere off off Friday night.
So we need winter, spring of 90. All right, what's your official guess, Peter? 8 to 10 in order.
Oh, no, on ABC.
On
TGIF.
ABC?
TGIF.
On ABC?
Yeah, ABC TGIF.
Okay, on ABC, you had Perfect Strangers at 8 on Friday night. At 8:30, it was Family Matters. At 9, I know they had definitely kicked Brock Toon out of the slot, and I can't for the life of me remember. I know Just the 10 of Us was at 9:30. So the 9 o'clock show was Step by Step.
Scott, any guesses?
Oh, God. Oh, geez. I kind of like where Peter's going. Was Perfect Strangers still in the air in 1990? How far into the 90s did Perfect Strangers? I feel like Perfect Strangers wasn't 92. On the air anymore.
92.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. All right, well, I'll say Perfect Strangers was on at 8. I'm going to say... I'll say Just the 10 of Us was at 8:30. I think Belvedere was still on in 1990, right?
It was, but they were jacking it around that final season. It's all network politics. Ugh.
Yeah, really. Ugh. Lynn Belvedere gets fucked over. First season. Season 1.
Nope.
Season 2?
Nope. It actually started in the fall of 87.
87, yeah.
Was Full House.
Jesus, really?
So that was at 8 o'clock. Family Matters at 8:30. Perfect Strangers at 9. Just the 10 of Us with the coach at 9:30, and then 2020 at 10 o'clock.
Full House with that criminal thug Lori Loughlin. Yes. Never forget.
Yeah. Step by Step didn't start till the fall of 91. So the next year had Dinosaurs in the 8:30 slot, though. So.
Stacey Keenan might have still been doing My Two Dads at that point. Not literally, of course.
Yes. The dark side of Greg Evigan.
All right, so we've solved this mystery. This aired at 10 o'clock after TGIF came to an end, thankfully. So Herb, on the bullet here, Eastern Time Zone. We went the wrong way.
I'm sorry I doubted you, Herb.
That's it. It's expected Hulk Hogan will retain the strap despite lots of interference from the Ultimate Warrior. Lots of interference in this match. Lots of it. It's funny, like, he has such a bad read on this whole thing. Like, he has been off at every turn. And it's funny that he keeps waiting for this interference, and this, like, his mindset is intriguing to me. Like, when has Warrior ever, like, interfered a ton and stuff? You know what I mean? Like, he never has in his run here. He's never come out and gotten involved and cost guys match. Like, that's not what he's done. It's such a weird, like, he just can't get it through his head that this is going to be, like, face versus face, like, straight up mano-a-mano God versus God match, you know?
I'm going to correct you. He cock-blocked Rick Rude that one time when he was giving the Rude Awakening to that woman, and she was hesitating. And
yeah,
Rude
true, but he was helping the woman. He never just came out to screw Rude in a match, right?
Yeah, well, the woman was just shy. She just needed a little help.
All right, Bill.
That's just my read on it.
Anyway, as has been pointed out by several other posters, and new heavyweight boxing champion James Buster Douglas will be the special referee for this match, replacing the advertised Mike Tyson. The switch in officials is made because it saved Vince McMahon money. Why else? Tyson was rumored to be asking close to $1 million. Good old Buster reportedly accepted the job for a paltry $110,000. No one has. See, this is the stuff I don't. I trust him on some stuff. This stuff I think is like sketchy. The info he gets on shit like this. No one yet has mentioned that WF Paper President Jack Tunney will be making a most irregular visit to ringside for Hogan Savage. His presence at ringside adds a touch of mystery that Vince likes to instill on us Usenet fans. God, even then IWC was arrogant, thinking they were the only fans out there. Yes, the 15 folks on Usenet in 1990.
Thinking of the Usenet guys, like, how can I put one over on them?
Get Tunney here. We can't have Usenet. No one was coming. He doesn't care about the internet now, and it makes up like millions of his fans. I suspect that Savage might even get a pin on Hogan, thanks mostly to Sherry and the Warrior. But Tunney will be right there to inform Buster of the mistake and reverse the decision. Way off, Herb. Other advertised title matches this card are Ultimate Warrior versus Dino Bravo, Colossal Connection versus Demolition, which will probably not take place as advertised. Rumors of Andre the Giant leaving the WWF mentioned earlier on the net seem to be true. He's been a no-show at several recent events. Bobby Heenan even stepped in as Andre's second with Haku's partner. It seems unlikely events will leave Haku and Heenan as tag champs until Mania, even though it's only 1 month, only to be demolished by Demolition. Perhaps the tag title match will be the other match aired tomorrow night with Demolition regaining the belts and then defend against a quality team not yet signed at Mania. No mention of the Bushwhackers, thankfully.
I can actually speak to one of the Andre no-shows, and my read on it was he missed a match at the Cap Center on I think it was Sunday the 25th, so the Sunday after this, and it was the second of a double shot. They were in Charlotte in the afternoon, and they did the Cap Center at night. And I think Andre was like, "Fuck this! I'm not doing two matches, even just standing on the apron." So that's my read on what that's all about.
Yeah, like he did the early shot in Charlotte, but Bobby wrestled for him at the Cap Center at night. Yeah, definitely. Yep.
Of course, if I had to choose a night.
I was going to say, listen, this quickly, JR. This main event is like right up your alley. If you were at the Cap Center, Warrior and Jake against DiBiase and Akeem.
As covered on the next Greetings from Allentown, because all the promos are for that Cap Center show. A Jake and Warrior promo, that's one for the ages.
Yeah.
If anyone's searching for a 40th birthday gift for me next year, find that match.
Hear that, Richard Land?
Hear that, schmuck? Get on it. If I had to choose a night to watch wrestling this weekend, it would be Sunday. The NWA brings us Wrestle War 90, the Wild Thing, on this evening. And even with the unfortunate loss of Sting, it guarantees to be the best action of the weekend. As most of us predicted, the replacement main event will see Ric Flair taking on his old nemesis, Lex Luger. Luger has apparently made a gradual face turn, expected to win the title in place of Sting. Rumors of major NWA shakeup are unfounded. Only the Great Muta and Steve Williams are given time off to fight in Japan. As mentioned previously, both Jim Brunzell and Buddy Rose have returned to the WWF. Larry Zbyszko, who I mentioned last week, dropped his title to Masa Saito in Japan on the 10th, was beaten by Nikita Koloff in Rochester on Sunday in a 2 out of 3 falls that would have been for the title. Tag champions, the Destruction Crew, lost to Paul Diamond and Brad Riggins in a non-title match. Brad was subbing for the Trooper. I love these AWA notes, so we're not going to get many more. Former AWA tag champ Pat Tanaka's WWF bound will likely be half of the Oriental Connection, who have been announced at arena cards already. Although speculation has his partner being Akio Sato, this is yet to be confirmed. I hope his partner is someone else. I like Tanaka a lot. He takes too many risks and really knows how to take spectacular falls, but Sato is too stiff to complement him nicely. Not bad. Right there, on point, Herb. Sergeant Slaughter has left the AWA for another month-long G.I. Joe-related tour. Rumors have him feuding with Colonel De Beers upon his return. Slowly but surely, the Canadian National Wrestling Alliance has been formed in Western Canadian provinces. This organization is meant to replace Stu Hart Stampede, which died recently. It seems many of the minor organizations in these provinces will fall under the umbrella. Elimination match is held in the next few weeks. And finally, it really bothered me that the NWA has chosen not to push the Midnight Express in the U.S. Tag Team Tournament. With their heel turn 2 clashes ago, I expected them to get in the limelight, but now it seems inevitable that Tom Zenk and Brian Pillman will get the straps. Hopefully not too long before a Zenk and Pillman Midnight's feud erupts. The world titles are going through some sort of WWFization with the bigger is better rule. The Steiners may not be overly big, but their power is what always seems to be stressed. The Warriors and Skyscrapers, and perhaps still Doom, seem to be pushed as legit contenders as well, with the smaller, faster teams being given mid-level status. So Herb really taking up the early mantle for the Gurr Internet Peter Winson types. Actually, no, you're the opposite, I guess, right? You hate the small guys.
I don't hate the small guys. I just think Adam Cole with his 4-inch arms isn't worthy of being a pushed guy. I mean, if Olive Oil would beat you in arm wrestling, I think you should be a champion of a promotion that I should take seriously. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying I want the guy to be like set on fire. I'm not saying I want the guy to be, beaten up by Marines in Syracuse, although he probably would be. I'm just saying I don't want him on my television set anymore, which is fine because I end up watching AEW anyway.
What if he goes there?
Well, if he goes there, I usually watch it on mute, so I can probably deal with it.
What if he ends up on the Brady Bunch?
What if he shows up on the Brady Bunch? Now that would be something if he mastered time travel.
It's your favorite show.
That would get my attention.
We're back in prime time on NBC for the third straight year. Promos from Randy Savage and Sherry, Jack Tunney, Buster Douglas and his manager. We even hear from Hebner's there as well, and then Hogan as well to close things out. Opening animation.
Excuse me, James Buster Douglas.
Right, yes. Vince and Jesse welcome us inside the Joe and hype up the night ahead while the crowd is all revved up for this one. Gene is with Savage and Sherry. Savage is glad Tyson backed out because his grandmother's a Hulkamaniac. He wouldn't been able to have been fair. He talks up Buster Douglas and warns him to call it down the middle. Sherry says by the time Hulk gets to WrestleMania, he won't be defending the title because tonight Savage will leave as champ. Mean Gene then talks to Hulk Hogan, expresses the similarities between him and Douglas, as they're both chosen to lead the masses, but this is the last time he'll face Savage, and if Douglas is a pretender and doesn't have the heart of the Hulkster to call it even, Hogan will be WWF champion and undisputed boxing champion as well. And then finally, Gene talks to James Buster Douglas, who's all smiles as Gene recaps his recent events. Douglas did it for himself, his country, and his mother. Gene keeps gushing about the platitudes. He felt an obligation to boxing. When Tyson tucked his tail and ran, he had to step in as advertised the champ. WWF advertised the champ, not Tyson. Douglas vows to be unbiased. Any thoughts from you guys on these trio of promos?
Well, can we talk about James Buster Douglas? Well, first of all, they have to refer to him as James Buster Douglas because Buster is a derogatory nickname in the African-American community. I've listened to Scrubs by TLC. I know what it's all about. But can we also focus on the Pete Rose-looking guy who's the trainer for James Buster Douglas? Holy crap. And then like reading up on him, apparently I don't know if he like coached at Ohio State or something, but the man's name is actually John Johnson. And I thought to myself, yeah, but everybody calls him Vicky. Oh, you haven't seen that movie apparently. Anybody who saw So I Married an Axe Murderer will really appreciate that joke.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Have we even reached that on the Pop Culture Corner? God, when did that movie come out?
It's like 93, I think.
Oh, okay. We're not even close.
It's after Wayne's World.
Shit, really?
Yeah.
Wow. Was that Kathleen Turner or Kim Basinger?
And So I Married an Axe Murderer? It was Nancy Travis.
Oh, I'm thinking of something else.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Your Mother's an Alien. Oh, whatever. Aliens, Axe Murderer, it's all the same.
Yeah.
But the promos are good.
Yeah. Well, I love the burying of Tyson.
Oh yeah, what a shot! I mean,
it was so amusing, and also when they kind of cut to a crowd shot, they showed a sign referring to the slow count from the Tyson Douglas fight, and then they quickly cut away once they realized what it was. That was so hilarious.
It's kind of ballsy too, because I know Douglas beat him, but like he didn't exactly whoop him, and Tyson's pretty fucking crazy. Like I'd probably back away from taking shots at the guy who may come murder you in your sleep after everything that went on,
But as for Hogan's promo, and we do this for Saturday night's main event and the main event, the continuity watch. Hogan in his promo is wearing no shirt and a bandana, but when he comes out seconds later, he suddenly has a shirt on and just a headband, not a full bandana.
Well, he puts the shirt on to go. I was like the shirt before the shirt and the Jersey Shore. He's got to can't wear the actual shirt in the promo. You don't want to get sweat on it.
There is no fucking way Hulk Hogan put on a shirt that quickly. I'm sorry. You're telling I could 3 shots in 6 seconds by Oswald, I can believe, but Hogan putting on a shirt in 6 seconds, I'm not buying.
Not even that cut off. You don't think he can? If someone hands it to him, it's ready to go. He throws it over his head. You don't think so?
I don't think so. No.
I don't know.
It's too bulky. There's no way.
I think he gets it on quickly.
Well, what I was shocked to learn. I don't want to step on things. Is the music for Buster Douglas? Did you know what that song was?
No.
Because it wasn't dubbed. I actually sought out an original copy of this, and the song on the network is not dubbed. And I have to admit, I was shocked when I realized that. But I couldn't pick up what the song was. Scott, do you know?
I was trying to think about it when I heard it, and it wasn't hitting me.
Yeah.
I think I probably assumed it was dubbed, so I didn't pay attention to it.
They probably didn't have to dub it because nobody could understand any of the lyrics.
Maybe it was the Fake It Takes Two by Seduction or whatever that song.
I'll be hearing that later anyway. So, anyway. No, good promos, good setup.
Wasn't
you? So, yeah, pretty amazing. But yes, continuity.
All right, match time. Hulk Hogan putting his head on the line against the Macho King Randy Savage. Savage and Sherry come out in their sedan, looking regal as ever for this big match. Maybe Savage's last crack at Hulk Hogan. Hogan gets a mega pop. He comes out, tears that shirt off, the one he just put on, and poses. Douglas and his manager come out to the most 90s. Oh, I didn't note it here. The most 90s hip hop song ever. So it was in my notes. So I guess I did note it. I couldn't figure out what it was, I guess. Douglas is pretty fired up. Good for him. We get going with a lockup and Hogan exerting his power out of the gate with Savage bailing. We get Douglas keeping the peace. Savage comes back and drives Hogan outside with a knee. Savage goes up top, but Buster stands in front of him, in front of Hulk, which pisses off Jesse. Sherry gets on the apron and eats a high knee from Savage by accident. Hogan unloads and mows through him with hard strikes, not letting up for a minute, just pulverizing his old friend. Sherry trips Hogan, grabs his hair, but Savage dives out on his back to break it up. Savage gets to work, getting 2 on a clothesline, landing some more shots before Sherry chokes Hogan right in front of Douglas, who gets fed up and throws Sherry out from ringside. Jesse just loses his mind there, calling Buster Douglas biased. After a break, Savage has Hogan in the sleeper, but he barely survives and flips out of the hold. Savage gets 2 on a clothesline and dumps Hogan. He heads up, and this time he hits the axe handle off the top, and then hits another one back inside for 2. Savage is relentless, going for a bunch of pin covers, slugging him to the floor. Savage goes up top, but this time Douglas gets in the way again, so Savage hops down and just slugs away. Savage goes up and hits the big elbow, but Hogan blows out at 2 and hulks up, shakes off another flurry from Savage, bangs away at him, hits the big boot, but Savage rolls to the floor. He pulls Hogan out where they trade blows. Back inside, Hogan decks Savage, who flops into the ref. Hogan then drops the leg, and Douglas slides inside and counts the fall. Jesse bitches about a fast count. Savage is not happy at all as Hogan celebrates with Buster Douglas. Savage gets in Buster's face, mocks and dances like an asshole, and then slaps him, and then the champ drops him with a pair of right hands. After a Hogan shove, that's the big money spot for all the networks. Paint by numbers match for Hogan and Savage. Just a template. Worked at a quicker pace to fit the time. Fine enough. Not much going on. Just really the bare minimum. And then you get the Douglas bump and the crowd heat. So Savage dispatch. This is probably it for him for a little bit. Definitely it for him and Hogan. I think we've beat this one into the ground now over the last couple of years. But he gets his final shot, and Douglas gets the big hit in and gets to separate with Hogan so they can parade that around for the papers. Peter, what did you think of this one?
The only way that this was in doubt was that Hogan came in with a 1-match singles losing streak against Paphos on NBC. Even then, that was only a count.
Is this going to be like Dino Bravo's bench press, where you're going to bring it up for the next 6 years?
And the Jesse the Body Award for Rick Rude, that as well. Yes. It took 13 minutes into this show before the guys actually locked up, which I thought was kind of funny. It's like, how bad do they have to hold the audience for this? Because let me tell you, Buster Douglas, I don't like to use terms like this, but he fucking sucked at this. He was he was so distracting for everything that was going on.
He did try. At least he was into it. I'll give him that.
He tried, but he was like,
I know.
He wasn't quite reaching Gene Kiniski levels of interference.
Nothing's that bad. Yeah.
But like, it was so like, it's Hulk Hogan against Randy Savage. It's the rematch from WrestleMania 5. And yeah, I know that they did house shows and they did tags on the pay-per-view with Zeus, but I don't think that this necessarily needed that. I mean, after all, these guys had enough of a history. It hadn't been that long. Although the one part with Douglas that I kind of did like was when he was briefly arguing with Hogan, but I just did not enjoy him at all. Except I noticed with Savage, he's constantly crashing into his female managers on the main event. So that's 2 main events in a row that's happened. Once Sherry gets ejected, and the match does pick up, and that's kind of a NBC trope, where the manager goes to the back. That's how you split up the match. And it kind of made me wonder, like, are you setting up James Buster Douglas versus Randy Savage for something down the road? No, of course not, because Douglas sucked. And right. If it was Mike Tyson, well, maybe they would have just paid through the nose to bring him in for WrestleMania. I know, what a novel idea that would have been.
Do you think they would have if he did this? Okay, I wonder if he would have.
I think so. Me. I think so, because Tyson was definitely down for it. Although, even though Tyson would have been so much better in this spot, even in defeat, it's funny how he basically did the same fast count that Buster Douglas did in 1990 almost the exact same thing where he slides into the ring and it's like boom, boom, boom for a 3 count instead of like the usual Earl Hebner, let everybody know that I'm there, slow, dramatic 3 count that makes me want to slap him upside the fucking head. Anyway, I'm because Savage is involved. It's like an automatic 2 stars, but I can't, in good conscience, go any higher than that. Scott, I mean, did Douglas annoy you as much as me? I mean, it doesn't seem like it.
Well, I gave it 2.5. Your match time was 11:14. Before I get to that though, I want to kind of re-answer when you said JR, if they were going down, if Tyson was, if had he beaten Buster and he was undefeated, he was still Iron Mike, would he have been down for something at WrestleMania?
Well, I think he would have been down with it.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. But no. I mean, no joke here. Tyson and Holyfield was the 1990 version of Ali Frazier. There was not going to be any chances fucking around with that. I think that was the money fight of the decade. But I think even if Holyfield and undefeated Tyson.
But even from the WWF point of view too, like Hogan Warrior is so big and set, I don't think they're fucking with that. Like I know Herb kept pushing it. Oh, maybe they'll do Hogan and the Tyson and do Warrior set, like all this other stuff. But they had put so much to Hogan Warrior. Like I don't see them screwing with that. So unless you're gonna have Tyson at ringside for that too, like if he does a good job, we're gonna bring him in, like something like that. But I think they looked at Hogan Warrior maybe as enough of a selling point to not have to pay that money.
Right. No, I agree, but it's a good point. But I think in the grand scheme of things, that was such a money match that they were talking about down the line. I don't know if
on both ends it probably doesn't time out. Yeah. What was the WrestleMania? Do we know did it do a good buy rate? I don't know if that's on Wikipedia or not. I didn't know how it was received as far as success, if they like made a shitload of money or not off of that. Like I don't know if it would have helped to bring in Tyson. I guess what I'm saying, but I'll look it up. Good. Anything else on the match, Scott?
I gave it 2.5. It was fine. Typical Savage. Typical Savage Hogan fare. But you're right. I think we finally, kind of like we did with Hogan Andre. Eventually, you just kind of run out of gas with this. There was no doubt, this is where I agree with you, Peter. I don't think that James Douglas, right? He's not even deserves the Buster anymore. Jimmy D. I think that I just don't think he understood what the fuck to do. Like Tyson would have eaten this shit up. Because he knows he's a showman.
Well, and he didn't know much about wrestling. I don't know. You know what I mean? But at least he's not making a joke of it. Like that's all I really cared about. Like he's not very charismatic. We saw it in the fight we watched when we did it last month or whatever. He's not the most charismatic. I'm sure they weren't fucking thrilled that he was like the champion. He's not going to go out there and draw millions. So I think it was just go out there and don't embarrass yourself too much and stay out of the way. And I don't think he ruined. To me, it didn't bug me too much. Like I thought he at least bought in and cared enough to like give a shit and not make it look stupid. That was my take on it. Maybe my expectations were just low for him.
Yeah, no, that part I agree with. The match was fine. You can even hear in Jesse's voice that I know Savage is his guy, but you can even tell that this is starting to run out of gas and it was time for everybody to go do something different. Sherry. It's funny how we have these tropes, Peter. You're right, where, kind of like on Raw or SmackDown now, or during the the 2000s, where the minute both guys fell out of the ring, that was when we go to commercial, and that's what happened then. Manager gets ejected, we go to commercial, and we come back. Now we're in the match itself. It is a trope.
Well, it's better than the Raw one with Kenny. They fall out of the ring. Kenny change momentum, whatever the fuck.
As Raw rolls on.
Yeah.
As Raw rolls on from Waterloo, Ontario.
So the Mania 6 buy rate was down a pretty good chunk from 5, but it was still the second highest to date at that point. So they got 550,000 buys. 5 was like gangbusters. They did 767, which is crazy. And so 3 did 450,000 on closed circuit and 400,000 on pay-per-view. So I guess that's technically their highest. That's 850,000 when you factor both things in. But yeah, 5 did a huge number. 6, and then it declines until 9 starts to tick back up, and then it's up and down for a while. The lowest to date was 13 at 237,000.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So there were less buys for WrestleMania 13 than there was for WrestleMania 11. That's kind of nuts.
Yeah, 11 at 340.
Well, the NFL
But
thing.
then, so
anyway,
look at this jump. So the last one, 13 at 237, 14 730. So maybe Tyson was a good. Tyson was a big draw. Yeah.
Well, and Steve and Sean was I don't know if Taker Sid was as catchy a main event as Sean and Steve was. But anyway, again, typical TV fare. Savage did his best, but again, at this point, even just watching nationally, and if you're not watching locally, like MSG or whatever, these feuds start to run their course, and it's time for Savage to move on, and time for Hogan to move on, and we know what Hogan's moving on to, but that match is already set in stone. In fact,
Hogan's moving to suburbia.
I think it was. That's right.
Gonna deal with
Savage. I think,
and he's going commando.
Yeah. He's wrestling commando? Oh. Does Herb have that info? But anyway, good match. Good TV match. I don't know if this is as hot as the Hogan Andre from 2 years earlier, or if even it was the tag from a year ago, but NBC made money on it, and it served its purpose for getting this feud over with and getting James B. Douglas over as something, and then then we move on ahead to Toronto for Hogan. So it was perfectly fine, perfectly acceptable.
All right, so we are about halfway through this show. One big match in the books, a second slightly big match to follow. We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll talk some pop culture, and then we'll talk about our last match of the night.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Place to Be Nations, JT Rosero and Chad Campbell here. We want to let you know that we have over 24 podcasts available on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and PlaceToBeNation.com. We now offer them to you on two great feeds. On the Place to Be Nation Wrestling feed, we dive into topics running the gamut from today's WWE to the glory days of yesteryear and the ins and outs of the territory days. In addition to our full-length shows, we also deliver to you special pod blasts on topics old and new.
The Place to Be Nation Pop feed is a veritable treasure trove of great content, offering tremendous shows covering the land of movies, television, life, comics, and sports, brought to you by the most knowledgeable and insightful folks in the podcast world.
You can find all of these current shows, plus archives of our previous podcasts over the past 8 years as well, by subscribing to our feeds on iTunes. And while there, be sure to rate and leave feedback as well. All of these shows, plus others, available at PlaceToBeNation.com, where we cover pro wrestling, sports, movies, comics, plus in-depth stretch projects and more. Be sure to support our site by using www.PlaceToBeNation.com/Amazon while doing your online shopping. And be sure to join us at our forum at Bigelow34.proboards.com for all sorts of wrestling, sports, and pop culture discussion each and every day, where you can make your voice heard. We also want to thank our friends at Bonehead's Wing Bar, ProWrestlingOnly.com, and TheHistoryOfWrestling.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr as well. PlaceToBeNation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
This is the king of old school, Steve Corino, the true voice of Ring of Honor, and you're listening to the Place to Be Podcast.
Our Nation, we are back, taking a look at the February 1990 episode of The Main Event on NBC. It's been a good one. It's been an interesting one. It's been quite the ride. And you could say it takes two of us, but I do think it takes three to get through a show like this. But Seduction felt like it takes two, because that's the song they ripped off with their number one song this week. Number two song, I should say, this week in the nation. Two to make it right. And that brings us into Scott Criscolo's Pop Culture Corner.
Thank you, JR. Since we were within a week from the house show we did for February, we won't redo the Billboard list. It's exactly the same. Paul Abdul's still number one. So why don't we dive straight into, JR, the movies, because a ton of movies came out on this exact night, this Friday night. Nothing stellar, but there might be some interesting garbage here that we may have some fun with. So
a lot of busters.
I'm going to skip the movie that made no money. Let's see. This one made $65,831. It's a musical. I definitely want you to look this up.
Best musical.
Ready? Best musical. Ready? This might be a Nate Milton special right here. Rockula.
Okay.
Rockula. Come on, Peter. That's a Nate Milton T-shirt right there.
Isn't this the movie
Rockula.
that or the musical that Peter wrote in what the fuck is the name? Why am I drawing a blank on the name? Jesus Christ. What was the movie, Peter? With Mila Kunis. The fucking movie with oh my god. Drawing a blank. Where they go to Hawaii.
Zack and Mary make a porn?
No. Oh god, if it was made in fucking 1983 and aired on a Saturday night on NBC at 1 a.m., you'd fucking know it, but not this one.
Jeez, I'm sorry.
Oh, I know the Bruins forward who scored that goal in 1984 matinee against the fucking Rangers. But
David Passino.
I didn't know the name of Forgetting Sarah Marshall, one of the biggest movies in 2008. Ralph Levy is a friendly vampire. He's 400 years old and lives with his mother, Phoebe. He's also on the internet talking wrestling. Phoebe's also a vampire. Ralph is living under a curse after meeting the girl of his dreams. 308 years ago, Ralph lost her. She was killed by her jealous boyfriend, a pirate. This sounds like my kind of movie. Since that time, the girl Mona has been reincarnated probably every 22 years, only to fall in love with Ralph and die under the same oddly specific circumstances. Killed on Halloween by a rhinestone peg-legged pirate wielding a giant ham bone. Now in 1990, Ralph, aware of the whole thing, vows to stay locked in his room and not meet Mona again until after Halloween, much to the chagrin of his sentient and libidinous reflection. Another side effect of the curse. Starring Dean Cameron, Tony Basil, Tony Fair, Bo Diddley as the Axeman, Thomas Dolby, Tony Cox, Bill Brocktrup. You guys ever seen this one?
No. But I did see A Taste for Love, which, by the way, is the Dracula-based rock opera in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. So there you go. That's what it was called.
Thank you.
A Taste for Love. There you go. Look that up. No. All right. Next up, we have, let's see. This made $882,290. It is an action film titled The Blood of Heroes.
Blood of Heroes.
The Blood of Heroes.
In a barren world caused by wars waged in the 20th century and now forgotten, most live hand to mouth. In enclaves known as market towns or dog towns, scrounging out bare subsistence, harvesting hardy crops, raising dogs as food, and trading in trinkets from the past. While little entertainment exists comes primarily from a brutal sport known as the game. It's all about the game. Starring Rutger Hauer, Joan Chen, Vincent D'Onofrio, Delroy Lindo, Anna Karenina, Richard Norton.
Decent little cast, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Next up, this made $920,000. I don't even know what type of movie it is because it doesn't say it, but it's called Angel Town.
Angel Town. It's the prequel to Angels in the Outfield, I believe.
I believe it is too.
See if Danny Glover's in this one too.
Exactly.
Jacques Montaigne is a French college student who heads to Los Angeles not only for school but to help train an Olympic team of fighters. He shows up a few days late after a rendezvous with his girlfriend in France and is given a list of houses that may have rooms to rent. He comes across a house where a single mother, Maria Ordonez, lives with her son Martin and her mother. Maria tells Jacques they were supposed to have taken the house off listings due to being an unsafe neighborhood, but Maria decides to let Jacques stay. Starring Olivier Gruner, Teresa Saldana, Frank Aragon, Peter Kwong, Jimmy James, Bruce Locke.
There you go.
I swear to God, if aliens came down from another planet in February of 1990, they would look at like pop culture in the movies and be like, oh, clearly kickboxing is the biggest sport that there is. Between like Van Damme, you got
Did something
Lloyd
happen
Kaufler,
that made it big?
Say
Like,
anything?
did it break out in the Olympics or something? Like, what is the big obsession all of a sudden?
Isn't it all those Van Damme movies? I mean, plus you had Lloyd Dobler doing it in Say Anything. I mean, what the hell?
That's right.
Like, seriously, like so much kickboxing going on.
Oh, there's always
you you figure
hardcore,
that
fucking what's the other shit?
Well, Van Damme. It's the only movies he did at that point: Bloodsport and Kickboxer. And another guy who has a movie in the top 10 in that weekend, which we'll get to in a minute, also was big in certain types of fighting. We'll get to him in a second. This movie made $1.1 million, a comedy titled Where the Heart Is. Aw. It's a comedy, actually. Aw.
CrossFit was the one I was thinking of.
CrossFit. Crossboxer.
Stuart McBain is a successful self-made demolitions expert who blows up buildings for a living. In the midst of one such project, a group of protesters stops the last building on the lot, a Dutch house, from being demolished. When McBain appears on TV to dismiss the protests, he's made to look foolish. Returning home, his 3 college-age children, Daphne, Chloe, and Jimmy, ridicule him for the appearance. Starring Dabney Coleman, Joanna Cassidy, Susie Amos, Uma Thurman, Crispin Glover, Christopher Plummer, Dylan Walsh, who's the son of Brandon Walsh and Dylan McKay, and Sheila
Dylan
Kimber.
McKay. Dylan Walsh. And Brandon McKay.
Well,
and Brenda McKay, which would have been her name if she married him.
Mm-hmm.
That movie might only have a score of 10 on Rotten Tomatoes, but let us not forget that Dabney Coleman had a hell of a run in the 80s.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. 9 to 5, baby. And finally, the movie that made the most money, $4 million, $4.011 million, an adventure film titled Mountains of the Moon.
God, what a shitty week for movies.
Oh my God.
I told you it was going to be a fun pile.
Okay,
of trash.
ready? Here's the whole plot summary on Wikipedia. Exploratory adventures of 1857, Sir Richard Burton and John Hennig Speke try to discover a true source of the Nile River. That's it. Starring Patrick Bergen, Ian Glenn, Richard Grant, Fiona Shaw, Adrian Rollins. I'm assuming he's getting a big push in the movie and it's failing. Peter Vaughn, Matthew Marsh. That's it. There's your number one movie in this fucking week in 1990.
Crazy, right? All right, let's go to the top 10 monies, and we'll talk about movies that are slightly better than that. All right, so the top 10 movies at number 10, Steel Magnolias. Number 9, Steel Magnolias. Number 8, Glory. Number 7, Stella, which was a Disney film. Number 6, Men Don't Leave. Number 5, Born on the 4th of July. Number 4, Revenge. Number 3, Madhouse. Number 2, you're talking about kickboxing and fighting, Mr. Winston. Hard to Kill.
Yes.
Number 2. Which is also the name of the next Impact Wrestling pay-per-view. And the number 1 movie of the weekend, another kickboxing movie, Driving Miss Daisy.
So
when I think rough and tumble, I think Jessica.
Right? You should have kickboxed her right out of the fucking car.
Because when I think rough and tumble, I think Jessica Tandy. Anyway.
Kind of hard to believe things are going to get better. I've been drowning too long.
Dracula's Lament was the name of the song that Peter sings in Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
I've been living too hard to believe things are going to get easier now. I'm still trying to shake off the pain from the lessons I've learned.
I haven't watched that in far too long.
Very nice, Sarah Marshall. Okay. In the NBA on this Friday, everybody was in action. There was 12 games, or most everyone was in action. Of note, the high scorer of the night was, no surprise, Mr. Michael Jordan himself, 35 points, as the Bulls beat the Trailblazers 113-102. JR, your boy, Sir Charles Barkley, 32 points, 15 boards, but the Sixers lost to the Lakers 122-116. Kevin McHale had 34 points, and the Celtics won at Golden State 123-111 among the games on that night. Knicks still leading the Atlantic, Pistons leading the Central, Jazz leading the Midwest, and the Lakers leading the Pacific. And finally, in the National Hockey League on this night, good news for JR. The Bruins did not play on this evening, so we don't have any Bruins to tell you about. The Whalers played, though. They lost in Buffalo 7-3. The Maple Leafs beat the Oilers 6-5, and the Rangers beat the Caps 6-3 at the Cap Center. Blackhawks led the Norris with 72 points. Oilers led the Smythe with 74. The Bruins had the most points in the league with 79, 37, 21, and 5. And the Rangers were 2 points ahead of the Penguins and 3 ahead of the Islanders in the Patrick with 65 points. So there you go. And that is your Pop Culture Corner. Back to the Motor City.
Blood will run down his face when he is decapitated.
Ultimate Warrior is backstage, who cuts a very Warrior promo about outer space and has a feeling that something's going to happen. Pretty much it. You know, it's funny because Warrior promos, you've always known they're like insane and that he does crazy things. But as I've like wanted to take notes on them for this stuff, I've really tried to pay attention, and I can't even take notes. Like, they're so inane.
This is the worst era of Ultimate Warrior promos ever. It drives me up a freaking wall.
Oh, my Lord. He's just going in circles, literally making, at least, Hogan goes fucking nuts and other guys, but they at least kind of tell a story within the promo. Warrior is just like saying things that make no sense. Like, go nowhere, go in circles. Like, it is insane. Like, I never really sat and, like, focused heavily on what the fuck he was saying, but my God, he is just a mess.
It's completely insane. I mean, who looks at this asshole and says, "Oh yeah, this is going to be good for business. This guy is definitely relatable to people of all ages." When he's just spouting this nonsense, it's fucking embarrassing. It drove me away from watching the product, and I know I'm not alone in this. So basically, the Warrior could burn in hell.
Jesse Ventura is with Earthquake, Dino Bravo, and Jimmy Hart. They brag on Dino's power. He congratulates Dino ahead of time for his win. Bravo says it takes brawn and brain to be champ, and when he gets to Mania, Warrior won't be the IC title holder. Jimmy says Warrior's a maniac, and they have the best insurance policy there is, and Warrior doesn't have Earthquake insurance. Gene is then with Warrior, so we get a second Warrior promo within 3 minutes here.
What did I do? What did I do to deserve this?
Well, Peter Winson, when you didn't want a Warrior promo, you got a Warrior promo, and that's because the Warrior got a promo for you, Peter Winson, and I know something will happen.
Oh, thank you. I was going to say you forgot to snort like 3 times.
I had it right. Yeah. Gene is with Warrior, doesn't need any insurance, Quake, health, or life. we proved that out a couple decades later. Goes on from there. Goes on there to talk about his brainwaves that Warriors speak to, and none here tonight will prevent him from fulfilling his ultimate destiny. That's what I made of that. All right, our final match of the night features an Intercontinental title belt on the line as the Ultimate Warrior defends against Dino Bravo. Not sure how he earned this match, but here we are. We get quite the entrance for Jimmy's boys, as usual. Bravo, Bravo's always been a dipshit, but the one thing I do like about him is when he does the circular run around Earthquake, and with this little run they got going on. It never gets old to me for whatever reason. The cape flowing in the wind, and he's just running fucking laps like Flag Boy in the basketball game. So they run out the flag.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of probably a little bit after this. You remember the Home Improvement theme song when they had the 3 boys running around in a circle around like some cones? That's what the Dino Bravo thing reminds me of. I don't know why. I wanted to cram in a Home Improvement reference for whatever reason, because the mom on that show was very attractive. There, I said it.
She is in your wheelhouse. I can see that one.
Mm-hmm.
What about JTT? He's good at chess.
I don't know. Not my top 35.
Warrior flies to the ring. He throws the belt and goes right at Bravo, who survives a leapfrog. Warrior hits a power slam as the bell rings, then hits an axe off the top. He goes up again. Quake trips him. Bravo attacks Warrior on the floor, but Warrior takes back over in the ring. Quake trips him again, and Bravo slugs him outside. Warrior sneaks out of the ring and pulls Jimmy under with him. Jimmy reemerges without pants. Jesse flips out about that. Warrior presses Jimmy into Quake, but Bravo attacks him, and then Quake lands a shot as well. Jimmy scampers to the back as Quake slams Warrior and shoves him inside. Bravo goes for a bear hug, keeps working the back, getting 2 off a backbreaker. Warrior comes firing back and runs through Bravo, including a pair of loud, rugged clotheslines. Warrior hits the flying tackle and big splash for the win. Quake comes right back and murders him with a clothesline. We get a double-team beatdown, including some big Quake splashes, until Hulk Hogan comes out for the save. Hogan knocks Quake off the middle rope. Warrior is not pleased. They go face-to-face arguing and nearly come to blows, but they get pulled apart. Hot finish. I thought the match was fine, especially considering Bravo. You get a lot of Quake, and the fans are into it, so the Gaga and the Heat kind of carry it. Plus, the aftermatch was nice. Warrior survives. He's ready for Sky Dome. This was really all about establishing Quake as a badass. I mean, Bravo clearly can't do shit without him at this point. But I went 2 stars for the whole package, Scott.
Yeah, I gave this 2 stars as well. Your match time 4:11. Not 4:11, not 44:11. Jesus, is fine. Just to give Warrior something on this show, because it's him and Hogan must be the spotlighted guys right now. Bravo's terrible. I think Bravo's realizing that Earthquake is the one that's getting more pub at this point. He's more valuable to the company than Bravo is. So I think that's pretty much that. The crowd is a little gassed at this point. I think everything at the beginning with Hogan, Savage, and James B. Douglas, Esquire, kind of gassed them. And plus, probably the last match of the night after all the matches earlier. So not a ton of juice. So I don't think that should be reflected of Warrior. I think they're just out of juice at the moment because of a long night. But it was fine. Again, get Warrior over as the number 2 guy. Is this the night? Now, I didn't catch this, Peter. Speaking of continuity, in the promo, Warrior has the yellow IC belt. Did he come out with the yellow IC belt?
I don't know. I don't pay any attention to what the Ultimate Warrior does in early 1990. Sorry, I just don't.
And Warrior, by the way, had Detroit Red Wing face paint on, so maybe he was honoring his inner, as you said earlier today, inner Stevie Y. So. His inner Paul Isapart. But anyway, I'm trying to see if there was continuity, because I think it's the first time that we've seen the yellow belt. Pretty sure we have, and I think that's the belt he'd wear for the duration. But yeah, for the most part, Peter, pretty straightforward match just to get the Warrior, a little something as we go off the air.
I mean, what can I really say? I'm like hunched over in pain. Just, it's my least favorite babyface facing my least favorite heel. What a match for TV. I'm glad that you said that the crowd was out of juice, and I would say, yeah, that's definitely the case, because the Warrior and Bravo had it all. I mean, you talk about guys who are gassed. Dino Bravo sell where he jumps into the air and then falls. I mean, I'm actually coming all the way around on that, where it's so bad it actually becomes comical. And the other thing I did like about this was the Jimmy Hart getting dragged into the ring spot. That's funny, but it's been done before. It's been done on Saturday Night's Main Event. The Junkyard Dog did it to him years ago, and I know a lot of time has passed, but do we really need to bring up some warmed over shit from 1986 in order to try and get the Warrior over? The bear hug spot in the middle of this match was a total pile of shit. It exposed the business. It was embarrassing beyond all belief.
So you didn't like this match?
I was absolutely ashamed that I was watching it. Earthquake was the only good part of this, unless you want to count Jimmy Hart, and I liked his run-in work there. But we get to after the match, and it's pretty clear. All right, Hogan wants his opponent to be upright. He's the upstanding number 1 babyface, and he doesn't want anything to happen to Warrior. And Warrior reacts typically like a total asshole. I mean, what the hell is his problem? I mean,
so you're taking the Jesse slant. You're going Hogan over Warrior.
Yes. I mean, the Warrior is so unrelatable. Like, Hogan comes down and helps him, and the Warrior is getting double teamed 2-on-1, literally getting beat down by Earthquake. Hogan saves him, and he's like, "What the fuck, dude?" I'm like, "Oh, shut up!" Like, seriously, how can anybody look at this guy and be like, "Oh yeah, this is the guy I'm gonna believe in for the duration as champion"? Complete, absolute embarrassment. No wonder why NBC. This match right here is probably why when NBC decided, you know what, maybe we should get out of the wrestling business altogether. and sure enough, a year from now, they will be gone.
So you blaming Dino Bravo or the Warrior?
Well, I'm giving the match 1 star, half for Jimmy Hart's pantsing, and then another half for Dino Bravo's jump up into the air and fall to the mat cell.
But what about credit for Dino Bravo's legs not imploding on that leapfrog to start the match? I mean, I was just impressed his body held up for that one. He got up kind of high.
Anytime like a muscle guy does a leapfrog spot, it is kind of hilarious.
I mean, I was waiting for his legs to just crumble when he hit the mat. Like, I was shocked he got up that high and had success upon landing.
Well,
right.
neither of them is a Mega Man Tom McGee, because didn't he do the leapfrog spot in that Brett match that everybody adored? I think he did, just to show that he could. But yeah, Dino Bravo doing a leapfrog. It's almost like he was avoiding like gunfire or something. Oh, boy, I'm really going to some dark places, but you know what it's probably because I watched this show as Kansas City was scoring all their points against my Patriots on Sunday. So maybe I should not do that from now on.
See, when you said avoiding gunfire, I didn't even put the murder into place. I was thinking like an old Western, like he's dancing and they're shooting at his feet, that kind of yeah.
Well, so far tonight, I've wished for the Warrior to burn in hell, and Dino Bravo made a Dino Bravo murder joke. So clearly, I'm in a good headspace right now.
Well, let's head toward the finish here.
Maybe Ultimate Warrior was spying on Dino Bravo's workouts.
Vince is backstage. He takes us back to the Rumble Science Main Event for previous examples of Hogan and Warrior going at it. Hogan comes in and talks to his recent issues. He denies that tonight it was not about stealing any spotlight. He says he's just watching Warrior's back so that he comes in top of his game and not beat up or injured. He saw no fear in the Warrior's face, and he's ready for battle. Hogan will destroy the Warrior. Gene is in with Warrior, who is pacing and not thrilled. What happened tonight was already written long ago, and they must do what is beyond them. Warrior stood with his back to Hogan, and then they looked eye to eye. He saw a wall filled with fear. He needed no friend or partner at the Rumble, for he stands alone and always has. Hogan still doesn't understand. He needs no protection. Warrior goes next level. He screams and points to the decorated wall. Says the Warriors see him through and protect him. Gene is stooging around fixing his collar while Warrior is maniacally describing the wall, which has red and yellow Warrior symbols, which represents the Hulkamaniacs questioning themselves. Warrior grabs the mic close and says he is the chosen one. Now, I liked this Warrior promo. Like, he actually told a little bit of a story that kind of made sense leading into the Ultimate Challenge. There was a point to it. It began and ended. It wasn't just a circular logic. So I thought this one was pretty good. Right down to the Hulk Hogan. So what'd you guys think of these back-to-back ones to wrap it up?
I like that Vince, that Hogan called him Vincent McMahon. I'm like, why so formal, Hulk? That was a little strange. Yeah, as far as Warrior promos go from the pre-WrestleMania VI era, I mean, it's certainly not the worst one, but it's not like I enjoyed it either. And there's still one more very bad promo to follow.
Yes, there is. I forgot about that last one.
Yeah.
Pretty terrible.
Oh my God.
Vince and Jesse give their final thoughts on the evening. Gene is in with Jimmy Buster Douglas, who's had a good time tonight. He had a good time, said Hogan's his kind of guy. And they're going out in the town drinking milk. Gene yucks it up and wraps us up.
So corny, not to sound like Nancy Kerrigan on the float at Disney, but that was so unbelievably corny. It was an embarrassment to like the proud sport of professional wrestling. I swear to you.
It was embarrassment to boxing.
It was an embarrassment.
It was embarrassment to any pugilistic sport.
Oh my God.
Oh Jesus.
Vince and Jesse close us out. The Hype Mania and the next Saturday's main event coming at you in April. And the video package takes us home, putting the main event to bed. Before you get to the awards, guy, Scott, I said before that I got the jitters out on Extreme Three-Way Dance and was ready to go. All lies. Completely forget to tell you what's going on in the world of Place to Be Nation. And our podcast feed here in the PTB and Wrestling feeds. So let's hit that real quick. You don't know, Billy Jack number 9 finds Drew and Jordan on their first look at Joshi. All-action Dream Rush Rager. In a two-part Row 1, Seat 1, Ben had on Brad Stutz and Grant Sawyer, talking about their history in CWF Mid-Atlantic, and for the first time discussed their separation for the promotion. Episode 2, With This Ring, Ryan and Cindy continue to go over their GWWE list, looking at bloodbaths. PTBN Extreme Three-Way Dance, Episode 12, myself, D'Amato, and Jenny continued our ECW adventure with 4 episodes of television from the summer of 1994. Lots going on there as we head toward hardcore heaven. The main event, Episode 139, Scott, you, Brother Nate, Steve Willie, previewed Impact's No Surrender, NWA's Into the Fire, plus a trilogy of New Japan Classic match picks. And on a brand new Talkin' WCW, Jenny, Greg, and Tim spotlighted Greg's favorite wrestler of all time, Bret the Hitman Hart. Be sure to check out the PTM Pop feed, littered with the great content, offering tremendous shows like the Hard Traveling Fanboys, Glenn Butler Podcast Hour Spectacular, The Year in Pop, Laugh-In Theater, DC4U, Marvel Age, the Brother Sister Rewatch Podcast, and much more. Subscribe to both those feeds today, as well as Jenny's Jenny Position feed. Available on iTunes and all their podcast apps, the home of Geek and Sassy, Talking Pop, Freak Out Driving, telling stories, and much more, as well as a new show we're on, Scott. We can talk about that in a minute. Social media pages, the greatest sitcom of all time tournament now underway. We're in the opening play-in round, 4 matches per day. Like our tournament page on Facebook or follow us on Twitter so you don't miss a single one. Also, check out PlayStation.com each and every day. We have new voices, fresh takes, bringing you articles on the topics in the worlds of wrestling, sports, pop culture, including Trent's SmackDown and Fox Report, The Week in WWE with John Crow, Polly's Perspective, Jason's DVD Deep Dive, and Ben's Unpopular Opinion, plus veteran columns like Glenn Butler's Weekly Walk Around the Web. If you're doing online shopping at Amazon, click on the Amazon banner on the right-hand side of PlayStation.com homepage, or use PlayStation.com/Amazon to go right to Amazon, help you shop, no cost to you. And while you're there, check out a brand new book by our fan and friend, Adrian Cotton, AWO Big Time Players, Episode 1, The Beginning of Change. It's a vivid description of the debut edition of AWO's weekly television program, Big Time Players. Shout out to Adrian for being a dedicated listener, and good luck on his venture there. Finally, for information on joining our GWE pay-per-view and TV match ever project, visit our social media pages as ballots are now open. Ballot link is available on the Facebook group page or at the message board, bigelow34.proboards.com. Final ballots due December 31st, 2019 at 11:59
Not easy.
local time. No, it is not easy at all. All right, what do you say we get to some awards to wrap things up here, gentlemen?
Yes, let's do it.
Yes.
All right. Match of the night, probably the easiest one we've ever had, guys, and that is Hulk Hogan versus Randy Savage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite easy.
And I would say our worst match is the easiest one we've probably had. Warrior versus Dino Bravo. Our Andre the Giant Award for the MVP of the night, I went with Randy Savage. He went out there in kind of a tough spot, knew he was going to lose to Hogan. He bumped around, stooged around, took the shot from Buster Douglas, still looked like a star in doing so.
Yeah. Although I'll stick with Savage, but I'd like a little
Douglas,
like half award. No, not to Buster. It's actually to Earthquake.
Yeah,
I feel like Earthquake kind of. I feel like Earthquake kind of alpha dogged Bravo there, as you're just a bloated fuck. I'm like the guy in this group now, and as 1990 progresses, he proves that. But no, overall Savage. He's stooging around and getting the job done.
Peter, you agree?
Oh, for sure. Pretty much by default on this show.
All right, the Sandy Beach Award for the LVP. I went worst worker. I went Bravo.
I'm gonna go with Warrior because Bravo did that jump into the air and fall thing.
Scott.
Bravo. He's just terrible in life.
Not for long.
Yeah.
All right. Our best moment of the night, I went with Douglas knocking out Savage.
Yes, even though he whiffed on the first punch.
Yeah.
I meant to say that to you earlier. You said he hit him a couple of rights. No, he didn't. He totally whiffed on the first.
In theory,
punch.
he hit him with a couple.
Yeah.
What do you got, Peter?
Well, I was gonna say the best moment was when it ended, but I'm gonna go with the knockout punch.
Yeah, that's the big spot of the night.
Even if he did whiff. Yeah.
All right, Warrior Award for the most juiced up. Dino Bravo wins for me as always.
Everybody? The whole show?
Everybody except Earthquake.
Yes, and Jimmy Hart.
I don't know. Jimmy was looking. This one like I wrote 4-way tie with question mark, but like Savage looked pretty juiced to the gills, but there's like no way he could compete with what's going on there. So I'm gonna go with Warrior because he was probably juicing up, for the big run.
All right. The Rooster Award for the worst hair on the evening. I went with Buster Douglas's manager. What was his name? Jimmy James?
Johnny
Johnson.
John Johnson.
Pete Rose. It looked like fake hair.
It was
awful.
Like a mullet. It was fucking terrible.
It did. It looked like fake hair. It looked like a wig.
You guys agree?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right.
The only time we ever do we call it the John Johnson Award now from here on out?
Rooster is leaving. He is leaving. All right. Overall grade. The hype was good here, and it seemed like a doom show from the start with Douglas being in for Tyson. Savage, as good as he is, kind of on fumes. Like there was besides Herb Kunze, I can't imagine anyone expected that he was going to win this match. And then the Warrior Bravo stuff. is what it is. But I thought there was enough here, and it was a quick 45 minutes. But we've obviously seen a clear, steady decline in the main events, right? Like, I know we loved 89. 88 was probably the biggest, though, right? And then 89 and now 9. It's like we're kind of slowly dipping.
Right.
We'll see where we head for the next one. But I went 5.5. Like, I thought it was fine enough to be in the middle. To me, I didn't find it bad in any way, but it definitely wasn't as good as what we're accustomed to with these 1 hour primetime specials.
Yeah, I'll give it a 5. It served its purpose. Because you're dealing with two baby faces that are just kind of getting in each other's faces, but not really doing anything mean. So it wasn't like they were doing one thing to the other. So it didn't have that intensity like the one in 88 did, or most certainly the one in 89. But again, it served its purpose to put both these guys. Well, not that Hogan really needs being put over, but to really push Warrior anyway as a legit. Because I'm wondering if the company was still a little skeptical that Warrior could be on Hogan's level. So I think that was just as important as ending the Hogan Savage saga. So, but having said that, the quality of the wrestling was fine, nothing earth shattering, and for an hour it served its purpose. So 5 for me. Peter,
I went with 3.5 out of 10, and I felt like I was a little too generous with it. Part of it is I did not watch the network version. I watched the original version, which is pretty much the exact same, with the exception of it had the Mountain Dew Slam of the Night with the Hearthquake, and they did the shaking camera thing. So that was probably one of the first times you saw that on WWF television.
I do love the Mountain Dew Slam of the Night. It's one of my favorite sponsorships.
Yeah. I like the one that they did with Big John Studd, and then he left like a week later.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. That'll do it for tonight. It's been quite the adventure. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it. Scott, we'll actually be back next week, no week off, with our pretty much almost our go-home. We get a couple more before WrestleMania 6, but it's our final live action, as we'll be an MSG for the 3/19/90 episode, or house show, I should say, on the MSG Network. We'll have a brand new voice, actually. He's never been on the Place TV podcast before. Will be joining us for that, so looking forward to it. Otherwise, we had mentioned we have a new Extreme Three-Way Dance that was out last week. Wrestling Warzone, I don't know, maybe coming someday soon. And there's rumors in the air, a sniff in the air as a new GWWE list comes due. The return of No Holds Barred maybe around the corner as well. Speaking of Warrior marks, myself and Aaron George may be back in the house with that. So we shall see. But other than that, Peter, what do you got going on?
Greetings from Allentown this week, and it's funny, I did not do this on purpose, but I'm covering a show from February of 1990 from the WWF. The Wrestling Challenge from a couple weeks before this, February 11th, which features the first ever one-on-one confrontation between Bret the Hitman Hart and the Heartbreak Kid. Well, not yet Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Also, they recap the Boss Man face turn on the Brother Love show and all that entailed. So, pretty action-packed edition of Wrestling Challenge, if I do say so myself.
Very good. Should check that out. I should also mention this week as well will be episode 2 of Body Press Your Luck, the PTB and Wrestling game show. So Ryan Everett will be back to defend his championship from episode 1. We'll have 2 new fresh contenders that should be coming at you Friday night. So keep an eye out for that over the weekend. Scott?
Indeed. Main events, we just, as you mentioned, JR, we had the main event from last week. Main event is done for the year.
What?
In the immortal words
you
of...
fucking Clark Griswold taking the rest of the year off. December
we're taking
9th.
The year off. Well, I mean, we work every other week, and next week is Star Wars, and then the week after is the beginning of the year. So it'd be hard to let people enjoy their holiday. We'll be back on Friday. Well, the next episode will post on Friday, January 10th, and we'll have a year in wrestling review, 2019. We hope this guy's schedule is fucking jammed up like crazy. We hope to have Brandon Howard back to talk about the fiscal situation at WWE as they head into 2020 and AEW, New Japan, etc., etc. Over on the Pop feed, myself, Andy Atherton, a host of others. Is it next week or the week after? We'll be doing a looking forward, looking back winter movie preview. And stay tuned in the new year for a Pop Goes the Movies for Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. We'll do it after, give the few weeks of spoilers, et cetera, et cetera. But so yeah, and I'm actually looking forward to my appearance on the Body Pressure Luck. I'm looking forward to hopefully being a contestant on a trivia show instead of having to cull through a zillion questions.
Well, we'll have to be in 2020 because this will be our last one for the year. We're taking the rest of the year off. Peter, was Dustin Hoffman in Star Wars?
No, I don't think so.
So you lost that bet with Todd Gack.
Yes, Todd Gack.
All right, let's wrap it up. Peter's going to go get an endoscopy. We're out. We'll talk to you in a week's time. Everyone take care. Bye.
And the grown-ups got some presents too. A new TV and a stereo. A new Seville, about as blue as the sky. The best that money couldn't buy. Cause money could never ever buy the feeling. The one that comes from not concealing the way you feel about your friends. And this is how the story ends. The dude in red's back at the pole up north where everything is cold. But if he were right here tonight, he'd say Merry Christmas, and to all, a good night.
Well, I'm terribly sorry. I don't know what you mean. What did you say your name was?
I see that it's not clear for you good buddies to clean out your ears. Listen very close while I pop more game, cause my name's in the Hall of Fame. The K-U-R, the T-I-S, the first is the best, I must confess. The B-L-O and the W, I make you wanna catch the Boogaloo flu. Now if your name is Annie, get up off your fanny. If your name is Todd, get off your backside. If your name is Pete, you don't need a seat, cause I'm Curtis Blow and I'm on the go. I'm rocking to the rhythms in stereo. Now just throw your hands in the air and raise one like you just don't care. If you're ready like Freddie to rock wheels steady, somebody say, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh young ladies, all the ladies in the house say ow. And you don't stop, come on, come on, come on. Let me see you rock. I get down, stop messing around when Curtis Blow is in your town. I'm Curtis Blow on the microphone. A place called Harlem was my home. I was rocking one day, it started to shake. And so to me, I like an earthquake. I packed my bags, I said goodbye. I kissed my woman and I started to fly. I came to Earth by a meteorite to rock you all on the mic. So just kick off your shoes, let your fingers pop. With Curtis Blow, just about ready to rock. Now the people in the back, if you're not the whack, say. The people in the front, if you want to bump, say. The people in the middle, if you want to wiggle, say. And the people on the side, if you want to slide, say. Not a preacher or a teacher or an electrician, a fighter or a writer or a politician, the man with the key to your ignition. Curtis Blow is competition. Young ladies, shock the house. Jazzy young ladies, shock the house. Now just throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. If y'all really ready to rock the house this morning, somebody say, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Somebody scream. Oh, young ladies, Mercedes, all the ladies in the house say ow. Say ho. Ho. Ho, ho. hip to hop on like a little boy blues blowing on a horn. The needle on a record trying to play a song. It's been that way since the day was born. I like a 25-cent bag of popcorn. Dip, dip, dab, so socialize. Clench your ears and open up your eyes. So you go here can realize that I'm here to tranquilize. Got the knack of cool jack, better than Beretta. Casanova Brown, my coaster down. Get down, stop messing around when Curtis Blow is in your town. I'm a one of a kind, I'll wreck your mind.